Welcome. Begin in a seated position. The only equipment, if you want anything today, you could have one block. I feel like there might be a couple of opportunities for that, but you can do without, or you can substitute anything that's similar. So we're going to start and end today in a seated position. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of an extended meditation at the end of class and do pranayama both at the beginning and at the end. Yeah, the idea of this Wednesday class is that it's a bit more relaxed, a bit more chill, and I worked really hard on Monday, so I want to take time today to do some less rigorous stuff. So go ahead and find yourself in a seated position. If cross-legged or any of these sort of legs in front of you postures don't work, you can tuck your legs behind you if that's more comfortable. Definitely if you want to have a cushion or something nearby to sit on, if that's helpful, we'll be here for long enough that you can certainly do that. And then once you get yourself situated, feel yourself rooted there down in the earth or your cushion or your block or wherever you're sitting on. Roll your shoulders down away from the ears. Think about lengthening through the spine. So that's the most important thing. Whatever posture your legs are in, that your spine is long and tall. Shoulders are relaxed down. Hands can be wherever is comfortable in your lap. And go ahead and close your eyes or just focus on a point just sort of off in the distance on the floor in front of you. And note your head position. You don't want to be lifting your head up, nor do you want to be tilting it down. Try to find parallel to the floor, slightly drawing your chin just a little bit back, just to have your spine in alignment. If your eyes are closed, just sort of gently letting your eyes focus on the backs of your eyelids. And taking a moment to notice your breath, just being aware of it as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Just take a moment to pause and just watch the breath. Trying not to manipulate it too much at this point, just being aware that it's there. Notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing just to your throat, to your chest, to your abdomen? Did you rush in to sit on your mat? Are you a little bit out of breath? Are you breathing quickly? Notice your nostrils and notice if breath is coming more in one side than the other. It's fairly typical that happens, and it actually changes throughout the day. So notice what nostril is more active right now. I want to do alternate breathing at the end of class, which balances the body. But your right nostril is associated with energy, with heat. It's the masculine side. And the left side is associated with coolness. It's the lunar side, the feminine side. So whichever one is more active tends to be what you might be feeling. And then hopefully from sitting here, your breath has begun to slow, begun to regulate a little bit. Inhales and exhales being about the same length of time. Noticing that space in between the inhale and the exhale, that moment of just floating, neither breathing in nor breathing out. If you'd like, you can lengthen that hold. It's called a kumbhaka in Sanskrit. It's just the idea of either holding that breath in, retaining it, retention, or exhaling and holding that retention until you breathe in again. You can play with that, and again, we'll add that into that pranayama at the end. So we're going to start the practice today with the pranayama. That's kind of a fun breathing exercise. Kids tend to like it. It's a little bit silly. It might feel a little bit silly, but it's an energizing breath. So if you're ever feeling lethargic, feel like you need energy to get through a meeting or a practice or whatever, you can do this. Maybe not where people can hear you. Depends on how comfortable you feel making noise or people around. But the good news is all of you, I can't hear any of you, and you can only hear me. So I'm the only one who will sound silly to anybody but myself. So I'm going to talk you through it. You can open your eyes if you need to look, but otherwise you can just stay where you are with your eyes closed and just let me guide you through it. So this is called the honeybee or the hummingbird or the bumblebee breath. You hear both. And the idea is that you're going to have this buzzing and this vibration kind of going in your head, and it energizes you. So with your eyes closed, take your index finger and your middle finger and just sort of gently let them be placed on your eyelids. You don't want to press on your eyelids, just let them sit there gently. And take your thumbs and just gently press a little bit on the little flap that sort of covers the whole of your ear. You don't want to, at this point, completely plug your ear because you won't be able to hear me. But in a moment, you're going to press all the way in and sort of block your ear. And then your ring finger is just right next to your nose, and it's not holding your nose, it's just pressing a little bit against the nostrils, so it's ever so slightly restricting the movement. And on this breath, you're going to inhale, and then as you exhale, you're going to hum. So your lips will be closed and you're going to hum. And because you've got your ears pressed closed, you're going to hear that sound in your head. So we're going to inhale and then exhale for a hum for as long as you can hold it. And then inhale again, exhale for a hum for as long as you can hold it. And then do it a third time. And after you've done it the third time, then just rest your hands in your lap and wait for me to finish, or maybe I'll wait for you to finish. I'll give a moment after I'm done and we'll just sit there with that breath. Okay? So 2 fingers on the eyelids, 1 finger next to the nostrils, and thumbs ready to press the ears, and the pinkies are just hanging out. Take an inhale. So just sit for a moment with that vibration in your body. Notice how you're feeling. Hopefully it served to energize you and wake you up. It's a fun one to do with kids. It's good to just sometimes not take ourselves so seriously and maybe do something that feels a little silly. And that's okay. Let's take a breath, extend the arms upwards, pressing the palms together. As you open your eyes, exhale, bring the hands behind you, placing them on the floor behind you, and just open the chest towards the sky, tilting the gaze up. Breathing to expand the chest. And release. All right, let's open those legs wide. Uttavista Konasana. Toes towards the ceiling. Kneecaps towards the ceiling, sitting up tall. So if you find that you're slouching, sometimes it helps just to bend your knees a little bit. That's usually a result of tight hamstrings. Or you may need to bring your legs slightly closer together. Sometimes it helps to actually kind of physically move the flesh of your bottom out from under you so you can sit right there on your sit bones and sit nice and tall. So we're going to stay here for a moment. Bring those arms out in front of you. This is my stirring the cauldron stretch. So just sort of making a circle with your arms like a ballerina, shoulders rolling down and away. So we're lifted through here. This is very engaged. You sit here long enough, starts to make your shoulders really work. We're going to hinge forward and then circle around our body, slight lean back, circle to the other side. So big circles, that lower part of our spine is sort of just rotating around on itself. If it helps, if you prefer, you can bring your hands together like you're stirring a pot. Whatever feels kind of more comfortable, more supported for you. If your arms are flailing around, just bring them together. And finish whatever circle you started, and then reverse the direction. So you're either stirring a pot or you're channeling that inner dancer of yours. It's not too much of a lean back, but just a little bit. Engage the core just a bit to support you. And you're just inhaling and exhaling slowly, nothing specific, just long, deep breaths. And then work your way to that starting position, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, extend the arms up. And we're going to hinge forward. So reaching, reaching, reaching forward. So this is one opportunity you might find that you want a block. Because what I want you to think of doing is hinging from your hips. I'm going to turn sideways for a moment so you can see the difference between dropping like this, where I'm compressing down into my chest and bringing my head towards the floor, and lifting and extending out. So lengthening through the spine, hinging from the hips. So those of us who aren't super flexible, you might just get to here. Vertical might be your stretch. Those of you who have a little more flexibility, you might come forward and find that you could bring forearms onto the block. You can bring hands or forearms onto the floor, but just be aware of that rounding. So if you're up here with hands here, that's fine. Notice your feet. Can you keep your toes pointing towards the ceiling? Can you keep your knees pointing towards the ceiling? And then just breathe into this. So unless you're flat on the floor, your chest is somewhat still lifted, keeping the gaze in neutral, the head in neutral. And just take a couple breaths and release into it. So you're relatively cold. We haven't done tons of warming up, so don't press too much into it. Don't force it. Unless, of course, you've just like come in from a run or gotten off the elliptical or done another class and your body's already loose. But if you've been sitting or standing all day today, you want to go a bit slowly. Take a couple breaths. This is a difficult posture for a lot of people. So if you can just sort of sit into it, try to relax into it. Breathe into it. We're going to do a few stretches just sitting here that are going to work on the hamstrings a bit, work on the back a bit. Okay, go ahead and walk that up. Bring the left leg in, foot against the inner thigh. And we're going to laterally bend towards that right leg. So the block may or may not be useful because you just want to get this right arm out of the way. So some people like it behind or in front of the leg. You can also bring it across your body. It doesn't particularly matter. And then lengthen through the spine as you bring that left arm over into that lateral bend. So trying to keep the chest open. So you should still be able to see me really easily because you haven't rolled down towards your leg. You're really staying facing towards me. This also feels quite ballet-like. If it bothers the shoulder to reach that arm over, it can of course stay down by the side, but otherwise use that to stretch and create length through that side body. Taking a couple of deep breaths here. Go ahead and press yourself back up. Extend that leg again and pivot towards that right leg. And then just walk yourself out over that leg, and this time you can go ahead and let the back round and let the head drop down. But still think about extending out. So if you haven't got a lot of flexibility, you can just be here. The more straight that leg is and the more flexed your foot is, the more you'll be stretching the hamstring. That's your option. And then walk that back up. And again, bring that foot across, pressing against the thigh. Left hand behind and push up into sort of our half wild thing. Now extending the right arm, stretching through the right side body, pushing the right hip up, and maybe looking back over that shoulder. Stretching from fingertip to toe tip. And releasing that down. Bring the right leg in to meet the left and bring the soles of the feet together so you're in Baddha Konasana. Sitting up tall, pressing those knees away if that's helpful for you. So the feet can be as close or as far away as you want them to be. Those of you who are much more open in the hip can bring your feet right up, right to your body. Otherwise, it's sometimes more comfortable to have them further out, sitting up tall. And then go ahead and fold into this, releasing the head down. Again, sometimes the block is nice here to actually put on your foot. You could put it up here and put your feet, I should say. Have your head resting on the block at whatever level is comfortable. Alternatively, you could put a block under your feet if that helps, if that takes some pressure off your hips, okay? Take a few breaths into the hips, into the inner thighs. And then round that up and move that block over to the left side. Bring that right foot all the way up onto the inside of your thigh. And same option, that left arm can go wherever you need it to go to just get out of your way. Lift up and bend over. Stretching the right arm overhead, staying with that right shoulder pointing towards the ceiling. This is where sometimes I even say put your hand behind your head, because that does tend to help open you up. Sometimes it's nice to find a version of a pose or a stretch that you know you just like to do and do that. Other times it's good to mix it up. If you always do it one way, try something different. But maybe there's a reason you always do it one way. Maybe you know that you tend to round down, but if you keep your hand here, you can push back against that arm and you can stay open. Good, pressing yourself up, giving that bent knee a break, extend it out. Turn so you're over that left leg and go ahead and walk yourself down, releasing the head and taking a few breaths there. Notice if this side feels different or the same. If you're tighter on one side than the other, that's pretty normal. It's very normal. And bringing yourself up, crossing that foot back to that inner thigh, pushing up into our half wild thing, stretching through the left foot, the left hand, pushing up through the left hip. Deep inhale and exhale. Again, releasing that down. We're going to do a little bit of a Pilates version of a seated stretch. So coming to sit with your legs extended in front of you. I will give you the option, only because it sometimes gives you something to focus on, of holding that block or something else lightweight. We're not trying to do anything heavy today. Otherwise, you just have your arms extended. Shoulders down away from your ears. Feet are separated a little bit. Legs are separated a little bit. Feet are flexed. We're going to do spine stretch forward. So where in yoga we often extend with a long spine, in Pilates we do a rounded spine. So that's what this is. So it's an inhale. Chin drops towards chest. We keep that block or our hands parallel to the floor. They don't touch our toes. And we exhale, stretch, exhale, stretch, exhale, stretch. And then inhale to reset. So every time you exhale a little more air, you get a little more space in your ribs, and you should be able to move a little bit further forward. Now this is not about laying flat on your legs, those of you who are uber flexible. We're staying up intentionally, rounding the spine, pulling the belly button back. Imagine that I'm behind you, and I'm pulling you back through your hips, and someone is in front of you gently pulling on your hands. So that spine is being stretched in both directions. But you don't have that, so you have to create your own traction. Stretch forward, press the heels into the mat, pull the belly button back. Good, and then bring yourself back to sitting. If you've got a block, you can keep the block. Otherwise, you can just bring your hands to prayer. I'm going to keep the block. We're going to twist to the side. It's an inhale and an exhale to twist. Exhale, exhale. Inhale to center. You can exhale through nose or mouth, because this is strictly yoga. I'm exhaling through my nose, but this is actually a Pilates move, so you could exhale through your mouth if that was more comfortable. Make sure you finish on the opposite side from where you started, and then come back to center. Great. Bring those legs together. Now, yoga forward fold, so long spine. So inhale, extend the arms up. Hinge forward, keeping the back long and flat. Flex the feet, reach forward, reach forward, reach forward. Release the hands down. Lift the chest. So again, if we're really flexible, it's going to be the abdomen hits the legs, and then the ribs hit the legs, and then the chest hit the legs, and then the head hits the legs. Otherwise, we stay lifted. Keep flexing the feet. If you can reach your feet, you can grab onto them. That deepens the stretch. If you can't, that's fine. Don't try to grab them. If your legs aren't straight here because you're not flexible, your knees are bent, that's fine. Anytime people tell me they can't do yoga because they're not flexible, I'm like, well, maybe that's why you should do yoga. It's okay if you're not flexible. Just because you can't lay flat on your legs doesn't mean you shouldn't do yoga. If you're here and this is your most, then that's fine. Stay there, breathe into it. You know what's going to happen is little by little by little by little by little by little, those legs are going to extend, and you'll find you can hinge forward. I am so much more flexible than I was when I was a teenager, because I didn't do anything like this when I was a teenager. And then wherever you are, just release that. Now just let the weight of the head bring you down. Let the back round over. Just let it go. Good, and then bring yourself up. Come over onto your hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Releasing that spine a couple times with some cow-cat. Deep breath. Think about lifting the chest, pulling the shoulders back. And then exhale, pull the belly button towards the spine. Really press the floor away. Again, creating your own traction for your stretch. So your spine is moving as much as possible, getting a nice deep stretch. And then work your way back to neutral. Belly button pulling in. So we're going to do the modified chaturanga sort of series that I have done before. So from here, we're going to walk out to a modified plank. So just bring your knees behind you. So now you're hinging forward, okay? So belly button is pulling in. We're not dropping through the hips, so we're engaged. Hands are still right under shoulders, but knees have walked back from hips. So we're going to match the breath to the movement on this. As you lower down, the elbows are going to hug the rib cage. You're really exaggerating, aiming the chest to the floor on an exhale. And then as you scoop your hips forward, lift your chest up on the inhale, coming to a cobra, making sure shoulders stay down, elbows stay back. And then exhale, pressing back into your child's pose. Inhale, rising up to modified plank. Exhale, modified chaturanga. Inhale, snaking up into that cobra, hence the name. Exhale, pressing back. So working at your own pace, let's do like 3 more of these. So your pace is dictated by your breath. And then we will all end up in child's pose. Really focusing on form here, focusing on not letting those elbows flare out at any point. And notice my hands aren't moving. My hands stay exactly where they are the whole time. I create a stretch with the traction they create for child's pose. They're exactly where they need to be in my plank, in my cobra. Whenever you've done 3, I think this might actually be my 4th, go ahead and hang out in child's pose. Your option, knees together in Balasana or legs separated in a resting warrior. Again, rising back up onto hands and knees, pulling that belly button in, finding neutral spine, extending your right leg back behind you, flexing the foot, really trying to straighten that leg. Option to extend the opposite arm. So you can just keep the right leg extended, or you can lift that left arm and stretch it away. So as you reach your fingertips away, try to pull your shoulder back into its socket so you're not stretching out beyond it. But you're really pressing the heel away, trying to grow tall here. Option here to bend the knee and catch the foot in the hand. If that doesn't work for you, if you can't catch it, then that's fine. Just stay where you are. Good, release that leg down. Find neutral spine again. Extend the left leg, press it away. Extend the right arm. So I don't know if you can see this with my shoulder. I have sort of exaggerated movement in my shoulder. But I can really stretch out, pulling my shoulder blade kind of out of its socket. Or I pop, I don't pop, I didn't actually dislocate anything. I pull the shoulder back into its joint so I'm more in alignment. So I'm still stretching my arm and my fingers, but I'm not overstretching my shoulder. You might have that issue in your hip. You might be able to press your hip out of its joint. You don't want to do that. Keep the hip in the socket, but push the leg away. Same option here if you want to bend the knee and catch that foot in your hand. It's a really lovely quadricep stretch when you get into this. If you're really overarching your back or just feeling comfortable in this, just don't do it. Stay where you were. Or just bend your knee and keep your hand on the floor. You could do this with a strap, but sometimes it feels like more effort than it's worth to get the strap. Good, release that down. Curl your toes under, so toes are pressing into the mat, and stretch back into puppy posture. So push your hips back. Let your head melt down to the floor. Arms reaching forward. You can have palms flat, or you can cup your fingers. If section cupping gives you more of a stretch and feels good, you can do that. Pushing the hips towards the heels. Wherever you are, walk your hands off to the side. Doesn't really matter what side. I went right. If you want, you can grab hold of that wrist and kind of pull it across, but you don't have to. I find if I just keep my hands section cupped, I can get a nice stretch. Kind of push the opposite hip away. So think of making a C with your body. And then walk yourself through center, over to the other side. So I went left, I'm pushing my right hip out. I'm stretching my right arm over, bending to the left. And come back to center. Keep those toes curled under so you can press up to a downward facing dog. Jog through here, bending one knee, bending the other knee. If down dog is not appropriate, if you should not be inverted, just come to all fours. It's totally fine to be on all fours here. Press both heels down towards the mat. And then let's step the right foot all the way forward. Release the back knee onto the mat. Rising up, hands behind the knee, hinging forward, lifting through the chest, rolling the shoulders down and back. So we're opening the left hip flexor. We're back bending a bit, and we're opening the chest and the shoulders. Breathing into this. Good, we're going to twist to the same side. I find that back knee sometimes has gone too far back, so I need to bring it forward. You could also come up on your toes if you wanted. We're going to twist, bringing left elbow against the side of the right thigh. Try to bring the hands into the center of the chest rather than letting them float up. It is more challenging if you want to push up on that back leg. Completely optional. What I'm more interested in is the twist of your torso. Breathing here. Good, releasing the hands down to the mat. Step that right foot back, drop down to knees. Let's lower all the way down to the mat this time. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of a baby cobra work thing here, working on strengthening our low back. So the muscles are gonna be engaging, so it's a pretty small move. So hands are hovering above the mat. We're not gonna use our hands. We're gonna inhale just to lift that tiny bit, and then exhale, keeping the feet on the floor. 2 more like that. Inhale, hands hover, feet on the floor, elbows still hug the ribs, and release. 1 more time, inhale up, and release. This time we're going to add the hands. So first you're going to inhale as much as you can without the hands. Then press into your hands and come up just as high as you can and want, keeping elbows down, shoulders back. And then we're going to lower down with control. Release the hands when you're able to do it without them. Inhale, lift. Press all the way up. Exhale, release. And let go of the hands when you can. 2 more. Last one. Good. This time lift up, release the hands, and then lift the legs too. Holding up, trying to keep the feet relatively close together. Arms can be wherever they want. I've kind of got them here in that sort of cactus. You could extend them out. You could extend them in front, that makes it harder. Holding for 3. For 2, for 1, release it down, press into your hands, push up, push back, come to child's pose, sit back on your heels. Let the head drop down. Reach the hands forward, curl the toes under, push yourself back up, downward facing dog. Again, you could just come to all fours for this if you don't want to be inverted. And let's bring that left foot forward, coming to a lunge here, releasing the right knee onto the mat, lifting through the torso and the hips and pressing forward. So now we're opening up here, this right hip flexor. I think we do this posture like almost every single class, but a lot of people are tight through here. If you run or cycle, you tend to be tight through here. But if you just sit all day, you actually tend to be tight through here too because of the position that our legs are in. And so that's helping with that. It's not putting any pressure on our knee, which is nice. And it's helping here to open our chest and give us a little bit of a gentle back bend. So I think it's a great posture. If it bothers your knee, it could be because you're right directly on your kneecap. You want to have the weight be on the shin, so like the bottom part of your knee, less than right on your kneecap. And then bring yourself up. Again, I find I need to move that knee a bit so I can be more vertical. And then we're going to bring that right elbow against the left thigh, twisting away, looking up, trying to keep the hands at the middle. And it is completely up to you if you stay here or if you want to curl those toes. If you do that, make sure that your lunge here, you're not tracking out over your toes. Take a couple of breaths there. Good, release that down. Hands coming to the mat, dropping to the knees, lower down, chest, chin, and hips. Inhale up to cobra. Curl the toes under, push yourself back to down dog or just to all fours. Those of you in down dog, lift yourself up in the balls of your feet. Pivot both feet and then lower the heels. So now the heels are going to be pointing towards one corner of your mat. And on that leg that's on the outside, you should feel a slightly different stretch up your leg and your hamstring somewhere. Lift back up on the balls of your feet and pivot all the way over to the other side, lowering the heels. Now noticing a stretch up the outside leg, this time on this side. And coming back to center. Good. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet. And let yourself hang over here at the back of your mat. Letting your knees be a bit soft to start. Letting your head drop down. And then let's roll up, restacking our vertebra one at a time so we come all the way up. Deep inhale. And exhale. All right, we're going to challenge your balance moving into these next postures. As always, I'm migrating towards you. I just want to be close to you. Okay. So, whatever you need to do with your hands to balance is fine. In fact, if you need to have a chair or something next to you, that's fine, because we are going to do a little bit of moving balance work. So stay supported through your spine, but if holding your arms out or hips works better, that's fine. I'm going to bring them to heart center. We're going to lift our right foot up. Actually, let's go ahead and just hang it all the way to the chest for a second. Give ourselves a little stretch there. We haven't done that yet. If you want, you can roll your ankle. That little bit of movement will destabilize you, so you might find you need to hold on to something with your other hand, and that's fine. Otherwise, engage your core, find that balance. Okay, so now release the leg, so keep it lifted, but just as far as you can lift without holding it. We're going to step into a lunge here, so with as much control as possible, extend that leg, and then step it out in front of you and come to a lunge. If that is too much on any of your joints, on any impact, just skip it and just join us in a high lunge. Take a deep breath. We're going to twist towards that leg, opening out the arms. Taking a breath here. Keep pushing through that back heel. See if you can get some length in the hamstring. So we're staying as lifted as possible. Release the back arm down, lift the front arm up. Good, coming back up, come back to center. We're going to open out the other direction into warrior two. So pivoting here into our warrior two. That front knee is still nice and bent, maybe as much as parallel to the floor. Same idea as what we just did on the other side, releasing that back arm. You can wrap it around your low back or you can just let it go. Just don't push on the leg. Front arm up and your exalted warrior. Stretch through that side body. We've done a lot of work on our side body today. See if you can stretch through that. Good, and release that. Pivot back to the front. Come to a power lunge here, pressing the arms away from you. And then we're going to come to stand at the top of the mat with our hands at heart center. So launching onto that right foot to come up to the top of the mat. Cross your right foot over your left and then round down, letting your arms drop, letting your head go, stretching into this. Noticing how it feels different with your feet crossed like this. Right foot is crossed over left, so your left foot should be back. We'll do the other side in a moment. And now you can uncross yourself and go ahead and step that right foot back, followed by the left foot. Dropping down to knees, coming through chaturanga, rising up to your cobra, and then coming either to all fours or to downward facing dog. Separating your feet if you're in down dog and just doing a couple of squats here just to create some length in our hamstring, bending the knees and pressing the heels to the mat, bending the knees up on the toes and press. And then walk those feet back together and walk your hands back, hanging over the back of your mat again. Slight bend to the knees, spine is rounded. And then roll yourself all the way up. Extend up. Hands at heart center. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So bringing first that left knee into your body, giving it a hold. Rolling the ankle if you need to. So when you're here, try to stay tall through the spine. You're not bending or rounding. And also there's a tendency to lean back. I actually find myself doing that a lot. So you want to just stay vertical. And now I'm going to bring hands to heart center. You pick your hand position, keeping the leg lifted as much as is comfortable. And again, we're going to step out, but if that doesn't work for you, you can always just join us in that high lunge. So we're going to extend that leg. Again, try to stay vertical, don't lean into it. And then step into your high lunge. Pushing that back foot away. As deep a bend as you want in the front leg. Staying lifted, so we never drop into our hips in this posture. We stay tall and lifted through the spine. Begin to open that chest towards the ceiling. Twisting towards the left side, extending the arms, left arm back, right arm forward. Almost like you can push with that left hand to give yourself a twist. Exalted warrior, back arm drops down, front arm comes up. Again, if your hand reaches your leg, we're not pressing on it. It's just hanging out. And then transitioning all the way around, warrior two. Staying nice and upright in the center, deep bend in the front knee, shoulders down, shoulder blades engaged, reversing your warrior. Coming back up, pivoting towards the front in a power lunge, and then we're going to step to the top of the mat with our hands at heart center. This time crossing left leg over right, rounding yourself down, getting a stretch on that side. So pinky toes are together, left foot's in front of right. And then uncross that left leg, step that foot back, followed by the right. Release yourself all the way down. Inhale up to cobra, exhale, press back to child's pose. Breathing into the back body there. Just letting it go. One more breath. Good, and then bringing yourself up, spinning around. Let us try to decide which order I want to do this in. It's going to be a little bit awkward, but we're going to stay sitting for a moment, or we're going to go onto our backs rather. So go ahead and hold on to the backs of your thighs. Roll yourself all the way down. Good, bring your knees close to your body. Pull the belly button in, roll the shoulders down and away. Feet in, parallel. And we're going to slowly begin to inhale as we tilt the hips and the pelvis, lifting up to shoulders, and then exhale, pull the belly button in as we lower all the way back down. If you want, you can add the arms. As we inhale, we lift the hips. We also lift the arms overhead. And as you exhale, everything comes back down. So really trying to focus on your back here. Imagine, or really, lifting one vertebra at a time off the mat, and then control your descent. Pull the belly button in and feel one vertebra at a time come down on the mat. You're rolling up bone by bone, and you're rolling down bone by bone. Next time you go down, leave your hands where they are on the floor next to you, and then just press up to that bridge posture. Trying not to let our knees flow open, keep them parallel. And if you want, walk your hands under you, clasping your hands together, really pushing the hips up to the ceiling, shoulders under you. If you want, lifting up under the balls of your feet, that lets you lift a little higher. You don't have to do that. You don't have to have your hands under you. You can just have this a more gentle shoulder bridge or more intense shoulder bridge. Your option. Good, and go ahead and lower that all the way back down. Releasing your hands, hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a little rock from side to side. And then give yourself some rolls up and down. So really rounding through your spine so you're not smacking down. Again, if this doesn't work for you for any reason, you shouldn't be doing this, then just don't. We're going to come to sitting. So next time you roll up, go ahead and have a seat. Extend your legs in front of you. Bring your left foot to your inner thigh. Option here, a deeper stretch if you want to bring that foot across your thigh. And then you're going to hinge forward. If you have ankle issues, sometimes this is a lot on your ankle. It can also be a lot on your knee or your hip, so just be careful with it. Right leg is extended out. Inhale to extend up. And so now your foot's either against your thigh or on top of your thigh, and you're hinging forward. I can't go quite so far when my foot is on top of my thigh. Breathing into it. And really kind of reaching, if you reach that left arm across and grab your calf, ankle, or foot, you'll feel a nice stretch through there. And bring yourself up. Okay, I'm going to give you two options for a twist here, an easier version and a more challenging version. So the first version will be just to bring that foot right up in front of you and do a seated half spinal twist. Those of you with your foot on that thigh, you can tuck the leg of the thigh behind you. So you're here, and then you're also twisting that same direction. Sorry, I got confused for a moment. You're twisting the same direction. So the right hand goes on the floor, kind of under that front knee, and you may even, I can't reach today, but sometimes I can reach to bind my hand to my foot, pulling that left shoulder away and twisting. So two options, but we're all twisting the same direction. Good, and releasing out of that and pretzeling your legs if they are pretzeled. And then we're going to do the other side. So right foot can either go against the thigh or it can come up across the thigh. You decide. Inhale to extend up, exhale forward. If you're working on lotus or even half lotus, this helps your ankles sort of get ready for that. It's also just a different stretch. I notice it on my knee when I do it on the right side, because I've been having some pain there, and so it kind of feels like it's a good stretch for it. But if it's not working, just come out of it. Just put your foot in that tree position. And again, you can reach across here, so the right arm is reaching either to the calf, to the ankle, or to the foot. Another stretch to the side body. And bring yourself up. So same option here, that foot can plant here and you're twisting that same direction, or leave the foot on the thigh, tuck the left leg behind, and we're also going to twist to that side. On this side I'll be able to bind today. Left hand goes under the knee, that foot is reaching around the body and maybe it reaches the foot. And then you're turning and looking over that back shoulder. Good. Go ahead and release out of that. Bending your knees in front of you, placing the feet on the floor. We're going to lower down slowly, 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 releasing all the way to the mat. Bringing the soles of the feet, bringing the knees into your body. Soles of the feet don't have to be together. Coming to happy baby. Got ahead of myself. Maybe a little rock if you want. So happy baby can be as relaxed as you want, or you can get more of a stretch. If you really work to keep your sacrum on the mat and not round and lift up, then you'll feel more of a stretch. You can really pull the knees towards your body, and you can actually kind of press open through your inner thighs. So any of those things will help increase the stretch if that works for you. Good. For some reason, I feel like we need to extend our legs one more time. They just spend a bunch of time bent. So go ahead and straighten your legs. If you want to lift up and over, if you want to just have your legs inverted for a minute, if you need to move around, if you need to do a lying down twist, I'll give you about a minute here to do whatever you need to do. So if you want to go into a deeper inversion, that's fine. I'm kind of comfortable here with my legs just straight up from my hips. They just felt like they needed one last stretch. And then we're going to finish here in a Savasana, and then I am going to do an extended seated pranayama and meditation for you. So go ahead and come to your Savasana position. If you want to do anything different with that, if you want to come to butterfly or something, that's absolutely fine. I often love to do my relaxation in butterfly. Separate your legs if your legs are extended, shoulders down away from ears, palms turned up. And take a deep inhale. And you can lion's breath it out here if you want. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue. 2 more times. And last one. And now just relax into the mat. Let your body grow heavy. Every inhale and exhale, allowing yourself to sink more into the mat. Again, watching the breath, minding it on the in and on the out. Imagine your inhales are drawing in relaxation. And as you exhale, imagine stress and tension leaving your body. Notice yourself feeling more relaxed. Notice where your body is making contact with the mat. And feel as though it grows heavier with every exhalation. You're letting go. And allowing the mat, the earth, to just take all of your weight. You don't need to support yourself at all. Gravity does that for us. So I want to have you join me in a seated position. So take your time getting there. If you need to wiggle fingers and toes, if you want to rock to bring yourself to a seated position, if you want to roll to your side, you do what you need to do. There is no rush. I will give you time. I can't see you. It is not a race. If I beat you there, it's okay. You'll catch up. So find yourself comfortable. If you need to open your eyes to grab a cushion or a block or anything you need to make yourself comfortable, that's fine. But disturb yourself as little as possible and come to a comfortable seated position. So I'd like to do a pranayama, which I have done for you before. I shouldn't say I've done it for you. You've done it. I've guided you before. So this is the alternate breath, Nadishodhana. And the idea is that it balances both of your pranic channels in your body. So it brings energy as well as relaxation. The idea is that it brings balance, it brings harmony. So if you haven't done it and it's hard to understand as I'm talking you through, you can open your eyes. But otherwise, just listen to the sound of my voice, and we'll do a few together, and then I'll let you do a few rounds on your own. So your right thumb is going to be by your right nostril. You're bending your index finger, middle finger in towards your palm, and your right ring finger is by your left nostril. So the idea is that we're creating cycles of breath. We're inhaling through one side, exhaling through the other, and then we're reversing that. So pressing your thumb against your right nostril, inhale through your left nostril. Pinch and hold, unless holding your breath is not appropriate for you. And then release the thumb and exhale through the right. We're doing counts of 4, 4, and 8. We're now going to inhale through the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pinch and hold. 3, 2, 1. Let go of your ring finger and exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. and hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale right. Inhale right. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale left. Inhale left. And hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale right. Inhale right. And hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale left. Two more times on your own. Inhale left. Two complete cycles. Whenever you finish your last breath, it's fine. We're just going to stay sitting. Exhale completely, and then begin regular breathing. So I just want to do a short seated meditation, just about 3 minutes here. So just sit, watching the breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And if any thoughts come into your mind, exhale them away and bring your attention back to the breath. The mind wanders. It's okay. Just bring it back. And I just want to leave you with one thought. This came from a Deepak Chopra meditation. I give attention, appreciation, and acceptance to everyone. I give attention, appreciation, and acceptance to everyone. And take an inhale as you bring your hands palm to heart center. And today I give you attention, appreciation, and acceptance. And I thank you for joining the practice today. Namaste.